Hi, thanks for tuning in to Talk About here on Shaw. My name is John Twigg, and this show is another in the series we're doing on social media. It's an informal series. We had Sean Smith on a few weeks ago, and he was talking about his social media coach activities. And then previously we had Amber Zernhelt on about environmental issues, but in the multimedia thing. But again, there's reference to go online for information. Well, today we've got an online expert here in Campbell River. It's Catherine Temple. Thank you very much, Catherine, for coming in.
Well, thanks, John.
And you do GoCampbellriver.com.
I do.
From pre-research, I know that you worked on this for about 5 years, but you've been up only about half of that. Tell us the story of why did you decide to do this, and how did you do it?
Well, it kind of started a long time ago when I was doing a lot of contracts for the different cities in the area, like Zavelis and Campbell River and Quadra and whatnot.
Is this information consulting?
Yeah, it was more to do with tourism. I was in the tourism industry and marketing for many years. And they would contract me to do things like tourism studies for incubators, tourism inventories and things like that. And I realized that we really didn't have a really strong online presence that gave the information that people really wanted to see.
Was that for the region or for the city?
Pretty much for the region. But I started GoCampbell River on my own because I tried to sell the concept to people and everybody went, oh, you're crazy. That's way too much work. Well, it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I thought, people are looking for hiking trails, but they don't want to hear that it's just a really nice trail. They want to know how to get there. They want to know how long it's going to take. They want to know how difficult it is. And I had stacks and stacks and stacks of information that I had been paid for previously to develop.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm going to put this all under one roof.
Well, there's a multiplicity of magazines in town for tourism. Why do we need a website? And that's, I know, a dumb question on purpose.
Well, if you were to take GoCampbellriver.com and put it in a magazine, it would be that thick.
Yeah.
Because there's 1,100 pages of information in there. And people are always, the diversification of information that they're looking for is so widespread, and it's all tourism. Well, it's not, it starts with tourism, but you can't sell a tourism magazine without including real estate. You can't include real estate without including mortgage brokers. You know what I mean? So I found that the pie was getting bigger and bigger. Yeah. And then I realized that what a great thing it would be to have the whole community under one roof. So that's essentially what we've done.
So when you go to www.GoCampbellriver.com, this is what you see. And you've got some corporate names there, BC Ferries. If they click on that, do they get?
They sure do.
They go to right there. And then down the side, you've got a accommodations, advertising, art, yada, yada, yada. You don't have churches listed there.
Yeah,
but,
churches are on there.
well, but they're not, they don't have a line, but they're under community groups, I think?
No, actually, the churches are under religious services.
Oh, okay.
We got in trouble over that. We put churches on there, and a few people complained about it. They said, well, we're not a church, but we're a spiritual organization, so we put them all under spiritual.
So churches are under religion now?
Well, they're under spiritual services, but they are in there.
Okay.
And I'm really amazed at how many of the churches in town actually have websites.
Yeah,
it's great.
Well, we'll get to that. And this is another, I guess, a sub-page, is that the right word?
Yeah, each one of those listings on the left-hand side of the page are categories. And some of the categories have got subcategories.
Yeah.
Like Campbell River Accommodations got about 5 subcategories. And that would be the hotels and motels and resorts that's on that one.
And then down the right side is, are those paid ads?
Those are paid ads. That's what drives the machine.
Yeah. So actually I'll show this graph too. The orange line is last year.
Yeah.
And the blue line is this year. The hits are going way, way up over here.
Yeah, up 47.46% as of today. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've got another number here. There's about 13,000 hits per month now.
That's just this month, but it's going up like this.
Yeah.
Like we did our best month last year was July.
Yeah.
And we hit just short of 15,000 visits.
Yeah.
We're at 13,000 this month, which is huge. So we're expecting we'll be up in the 17 to 20,000 range for July.
And when you send out emails, down at the bottom in what I think we used to call the footer, you've got a running visit count. And the one I have here from a few weeks ago, 108,000 visits in the last 12 months.
Now that's already up to 111.
Yeah.
So that means that essentially at this period in time, we're gaining about 1,000 new visitors every week.
So why are they going to your site when there's a few others in town? The What's On Digest, I think, has a pretty good site. The Mirror has a site. I have a site, crnv.com, plug, which is nowhere near as competitive as those guys. But what does your site do that's special?
A couple of different things. I mean, first of all, we work on the site every day. We have, there's a team of professionals. Most of them are contractors, but there's 3 or 4 of us that are on the site every day. So we make changes all the time. Google loves us. Our Google rankings are skyrocketing, which is why our numbers are skyrocketing. They basically build their quality assurance on a lot of different things that we incorporate, not just our social, what do you call it, SEO. To set up what's happening in the background of the site, but our social networking, how we actually strategize our pages, our blogs. You know, we're involved in Pinterest and Google Plus and Twitter and Facebook. So the more the higher our rankings go, the higher our rankings go.
I got to ask a dumb question too. Pinterest. What is Pinterest?
I love Pinterest.
Well, why? Tell me about it. Tell us about it.
Pinterest is a social networking platform that works just in pictures. That's all it does. Yeah, and when you look at a pin board, my pin board has got about, I'm going to say about 14 or 15 different boards on it. You click on the board and it's just nothing but pictures. We do a little bit more than that, and we actually optimize each one of our pictures, plus we write a little story with each picture. So when someone sees a picture of Northern Vancouver Island and they click on it, they actually get the story with it. Which is a little bit different. Most Pinterest people don't do that, but we do that because we want to send them back to our site, right? And it works.
LinkedIn, is that one of the pieces of your puzzle?
It is, but LinkedIn is more of a social networking platform for business to business.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good way to get business to come to our site to buy advertising, but in terms of grand volume, it doesn't really make that much of a difference. Or let me rephrase that. I don't know much about it to make that much of a difference yet, but we're learning.
Okay. Now, it's I was reading one of the local papers, the Courier, today, and they got a little photo in here about the hatchery folks releasing some salmon fry. And it says, to see fantastic underwater footage of the release, see the Courier Islanders Facebook page. So here's an old style weekly print newspaper, but they've gone multimedia too.
Everybody's going multimedia because there are billions of searches every day.
Yeah.
Like the stats essentially say at this point in time that 84% of all purchases are done online now.
No way.
96% of them are researched online, and then the people actually go to buy the physical product.
Yeah.
So if you're not online, you're losing.
I confess that we bought a lawnmower through Walmart, and we went to the store. They were out of stock, but the clerk kindly said, you know, you can get this online. We got the last one.
I know the stats are incredible. If you take a look at what's happening just in terms of retail, because it's not just retail, it's everything. But if you look at the stats for retail, the numbers in terms of the brick and mortar buildings are going down, the dollar values, and yet the internet is skyrocketing. In
the news today, as we're taping, Sears in Canada is having trouble. I mean, we know Target's been having trouble, and so how much of this is like online commerce, just eroding traditional commerce?
That's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
It's eroding it. It's really easy. Yeah. I order a book from Amazon, it's on my doorstep in 2 or 3 days, usually in 2 or 3 days.
But you know, Global TV, I think it was, maybe it was CBC, come to think of it, CBC. But anyway, there was a story about fulfillments, and some less than fully reputable florist was selling, you know, Mother's Day stuff and then not delivering, or delivering the wrong thing late, kind of a thing. So when you buy online, though, you still have to be careful.
You still have to be careful. As a
Yeah.
matter of fact, you have to be very careful. There's a lot of sites out there that you would never know when you think that they're Canadian sites. They're not Canadian sites.
Yeah.
What they've done is mirrored a Canadian site.
Oh.
And if it's in a country like Yugoslavia or China, good luck trying to
Yeah.
collect your money back. So you always have to be careful.
Yeah.
What a lot of retailers are doing now in Canada is they are actually saying we are a Canadian website. We only ship to Canada.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing a lot of that going
Yeah.
on.
Do you screen for the businesses that are on your own site to make sure that they're not, fishing for data?
What do you mean?
Well, you've got up here BC Ferries I saw, and well, let's say here's the Toyota Tundra Strathcona, Toyota Century 21. What kind of checking do you do to make sure that they're legit?
Well, we're not the business police, so I
Yeah.
can't really do a heck of a lot with that.
Yeah.
But we pretty much have a one-on-one with all the businesses that are on there, so we know if they're local.
Yeah.
And if you notice with Go Campbell River, it is a local website.
Yeah.
The only people that are on the website that are not local are ones that have chosen to advertise. Everybody else that's listed on there is from Campbell River and region, because
Yeah.
we don't draw lines where the municipality
Yeah.
ends. We handle Quadra, Sayward, Gold River, the outlying areas also. So in terms of the actual listings on there, if we were finding that it was someone that was pretty lacked reputation and integrity, we'd find out pretty
Yeah.
quick.
And that's an undeliberate segue to the church section again. I looked at the data on that some time back, and I could tell that some of them were a little bit stale. Like maybe they'd changed locations or pastors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But when you've got, what did you say, 12,000 listings?
Well, there's 3,500 businesses listing on there. There's 1,100 pages of information. So there's a lot of stuff on there.
Yeah, but I mean, the verification load to keep that fresh, I mean,
You would be
That's-
surprised how many people email me every single day to say, oh, you know what, yesterday, I'm a daycare in town, and I noticed that you've got my email address wrong. Oh, and by the way, so-and-so has gone out of business, and so-and-so has bought this daycare. So as soon as something like that happens, we change everything absolutely immediately.
Yeah.
It's almost virtually impossible to be on top of everything.
Yeah.
But what we're finding now is the community is engaging in it. They feel like the site is a part of their community.
Yeah.
They want it to be as updated as possible.
Yeah.
Plus, we periodically go through the site. We'll choose 4 or 5 categories and we'll phone everybody and say, is this correct? Is this correct? Is
good.
this correct? Well, sometimes you have to be careful what you ask for. You try dealing with the real estate agents. We go through the real estate listings about every 3 months.
yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
they change so often.
Yeah. Another story in the news today is Google out of Europe under pressure because people are complaining about false or malicious information being posted about them. And, Google and many others, I think, were starting to say, well, it's not our problem. And I have some friends in town with a restaurant, and somebody posted a malicious review, which was basically false. And through that, I discovered that in some places, not in Campbell River, I hope, where, one restaurant will slag another, or one shoe store will slag another online.
Which is exactly why you don't see reviews on our website.
Yeah,
We actually have talked about doing that because a lot of people travel by reviews
yeah,
and they want to see where the best place is. But until such time that we can be guaranteed that people aren't slagging them, I'm not going to do it because these are
Yeah.
my advertisers.
Yeah.
These are the people that are making my business run. And
Yeah.
to be quite honest with you, I know that you can go into a restaurant and have a bad experience, but that doesn't mean you're going to
Yeah.
have a bad experience the second time around either.
Good restaurant reviewers actually never do it on just one visit.
Exactly.
They usually do it on more.
And a lot of the people that actually do those reviews, and I actually ended up in a situation over that with a restaurant review that was bad. A fellow asked me, how do I get rid of this thing?
Yeah.
And what I did was I followed the stream of the fellow that wrote the review, and he had consistently bad reviews about everything that he
Yeah.
posted.
Trying to get a free meal out of it.
I'm thinking that's exactly
Yeah.
what he did. Yeah.
Now, this is convenient. Good segue to May 2nd National Post. Bad online fingerprints sticky.
They
And
are. They
I
don't
know
go
if we
away.
can get that in time. But anyway, you don't. Yeah, there it is. But this complaining customers are more motivated to air grievances about brands on social media than they are praise. But
They are.
if well, you mentioned you had to you did this for someone. But if there's something unfair or wrong, not necessarily on Go Campbell River, because it's pretty close to perfect, we think.
Thank you for that.
But, you know, what recourse does one have?
Every social networking platform has a way that you can actually go in and dispute.
Yeah.
It takes time.
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
And this is the challenge with small business. Most people that are in small business don't have the time.
Yeah.
And they don't recognize just how damaging something like that can be.
Yeah.
But say something like TripAdvisor, they have a whole series of steps that you take if you've gotten a bad review.
Yeah.
And you can follow those things and they will remove them. Most of them do.
Yeah.
But it's an arduous task at the best
Yeah.
of times. And
Yeah.
like I said, with smaller businesses, do you want to run your business or do you want to spend all your time on social networking?
Yeah.
And it's important
Yeah.
because it is absolutely amazing how much damage can be done to your business, because that's where people are looking for you, is on the internet.
Yeah.
They're not driving down the street thinking to myself, oh my goodness gracious, I need to get my oil changed on my car. Where do I go?
Yeah.
The first thing they're going to do is
Yeah.
hit their iPad,
Yeah.
you know, or their phone or something like that, or their Samsung.
Do the same joke I did with Sean Smith. Excuse me, I have to check my email.
I got a tweet.
I am on Twitter, and I spend a lot of time on Twitter.
Yeah.
And actually, I have two identities, one for broad and then one for local. But I was disturbed yesterday. There's a mute function coming where if somebody doesn't want to hear from somebody that sends out too much stuff, you can now hit them with a mute button.
And what's wrong with that? It's like, shut up.
Well, some days I won't tweet anything, and another day I'll do 20.
Yeah, yeah.
So maybe somebody gets tired of hearing from John Twigg. I have a hard time believing that.
Yeah, you know what I actually think, John? I think that most people that are going to use that are when somebody's sending out a bunch of negative stuff that they don't want to read. I mean, I don't want to read that.
Yeah.
I usually unfollow them or unfriend
Yeah.
them or whatever the
Yeah.
case might be in a situation like that. But there are people that are chronically tweeting stuff you don't care
Well,
about, you know?
there are political activists too who
There are.
actually can be a pain from time to time.
Yeah.
Of all parties, I should say.
I've actually seen people on Twitter that have automatically tweeted one tweet 3 or 4 times an hour for 3 or 4 days in a row.
Yeah, they don't get it.
You get to a certain point where you go, no more, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, moving right along here. Social media policy and absolute must. This is a technology story from April this year in the Vancouver Sun. But I guess to reiterate kind of what you said, but can you get by now without a social media strategy?
Not if you want to be successful in business.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. And if you're not on it now and you wait another year or two, you're just going to be behind all the other guys that are already running with it and have already got following, because the rules change constantly.
Yeah.
So you can actually be in a position where today you think you know how to do it, and then 3 weeks down the road they change something and you're doing something wrong again. So it is really a bit of a challenge to keep on top of it, but the reality is either you're going to spend huge amounts of money going nowhere, or you're going to be on the internet. It's as simple as that.
Well, I got another example here. This is a Langley Western boots and clothing store, and the business had been struggling for some time, but they've got new owners, a new location. But they've also gone, well, I think they were online before, but now they've improved it. Thanks to our online presence, we now have interest in our store and inventory from all over the world. Now, these are, let's say, a guy in Texas, he's got oversized feet, he needs good boots.
Yeah.
And where do they end up? In Langley. So,
Well, interestingly enough, with Go Campbell River, about 38% of our visits are local.
Wow.
The rest of them are all over the world.
Yeah.
And it's really neat for me because sometimes people think I'm a visitor information center, and they'll actually email me from the site saying, where's the best place to see bears in January? And I go,
Now,
in their dens.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you do the coming events thing?
What do you mean?
Well-
We have an events calendar on the site, yes, And it is really popular.
Yeah.
Now, it's we've got almost a 2-tiered. We've partnered with the Visitor Information Center to do the regular calendar of events because it takes a long time to populate that.
Yeah.
And they do that anyway for the city. So we've
Yeah.
partnered with them. But we have an annual events calendar, which essentially January, February, March. This is when it generally happens within this period
So
of
like,
time.
for example, I'm not sure when the Loggers Sports Day is this year. Can I go to your site and get
You
that?
can, and
Good.
it won't say specifically on the annual events the date. What it'll say is the last 2 weeks in July,
Okay.
or whatever the case might be.
Right.
In a case like that, then you go to the events calendar, find out what day it is,
Yeah.
because it'll change from year to year.
And to be fair to What's on Digest, they have a very similar thing too. And I'm hoping to have them on next week as well, unless there's an earthquake or something.
We've had a few of those. You should
yeah.
have seen our earthquake preparedness
Actually,
page
that's
at
good,
that.
isn't it? Yeah,
1,100
tell us about
visits
that.
in one day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were the only site that had earthquake
Yeah.
information.
Yeah, and we actually worked with Howie Siemens from the regional district to put those pages together.
Wow.
And he's upgraded it since we've had it done. We also have WaterWise on there, but when we had the earthquake, those pages just went crazy.
Google loves hit counts.
Oh yeah, they do.
Okay, now here's another thing, social networking strategy. You're currently working with River City Arts Council Board, putting together a social networking strategy for the promotion of the event. What is a social networking strategy?
Well, let me back up a little bit first, because this is a very successful festival. They're now in year 3.
Yeah.
And they were very happy with their attendance last year. What they want to do is they want to take it internationally, and that's one of the reasons why they partnered with me,
Really?
is because we have an international audience. So what we've done is we've sat down and we've said, okay, what are the resources that we have? We have 130 artists. That's a huge resource. I'd say probably 99.9% of them have Facebook pages. 30% of them are on Twitter. Let's use that resource.
Yeah.
In order to go viral, this is what we're attempting
That's
to
where I
do.
was going to go.
is
Because
to
you were, I don't know, commissioned, but involved in trying to get Campbell River to go viral.
This is actually a bit of an experiment to do that.
But it hasn't happened because Campbell River is not online enough yet.
We're not online enough yet, but there's more to it than that. There's so much. It takes a strategy, and it's a lot of work to put these strategies together.
Yeah.
Like what we're doing right now for the Arts Festival is we're doing videos. A lot of videos. We're just basically interviewing artists, just real quick videos done high definition, iPad videos, no editing, just boom, boom, boom. What do you do? There's some of your art. What do you think of this festival? We will be posting those on Twitter and Facebook. The key is that we're all going to be posting it. And anytime that someone posts something on one, everybody will share it. So if you can imagine guaranteeing that you've got one picture on there from the festival last year, which is embedded with the festival logo and the dates, then you have 130 people sharing it, requesting for everybody else to share it at the same time. You get some real power when you start doing that.
That's the compound interest kind of
It
thing.
is. And the
Yeah.
neat thing about it is if we do that on a regular basis, like we did that, say, once or twice a week or 3 times a week, then building up towards the festival, then the people that are, say, in my Facebook or on my Twitter account are getting now used to seeing it. And they go, oh, that was a really cool art person
Yeah.
we had on there last week.
Yeah.
Let's check out this one.
Yeah.
Right, so this is what we're hoping for, and it's an experiment. We haven't done it before, but I think it's going to be quite successful.
Now, traditionally in the era of telephones, a group, let's say a political party, would assign one person to be the communications director, and that person's job would be to do a phoning tree or something like that.
That sounds what it's like, a phoning tree, except
Yeah.
for what we can do essentially with this, we can hit an audience of hundreds of thousands of people virtually overnight.
Yeah, yeah. So, but getting like all 10 people on the board of directors to do it,
Yes.
as opposed to one person.
The power is in the numbers.
Yeah.
If we did this with the whole community, like we're going to test it out, see how we can do with this, kind of tweak it afterwards to say, okay, we should have done this or should have done that. The next time we do it, and again, probably for a festival or something like that, then we'll try it again and just measure our results from there. And imagine at this time next year doing it for the entire community of Campbell River.
Now, are there some situations or types of events that lend themselves more to Facebook than Twitter, say, or Pinterest, I guess, with its video?
It's, you know what? You need it all.
Yeah.
Twitter serves a different purpose than Facebook does.
Yeah.
Facebook is there to entertain people. I mean, really, if you're on Facebook or you've got a Facebook page, the best thing you can do is throw a bunch of stuff in there that people think are really cute. Puppies and kitties really work well.
Yeah.
Babies really work well.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. You know, we want to keep them entertained, and then just put your little plug for your business in there every 3 or 4 posting, right?
Yeah.
With Twitter, you're specifically hitting, like for instance, I did a story on real estate last year. And I specifically went after Edmonton, Calgary, Vancouver. Those are our markets that are outside of town. So I hashtagged those particular markets in my Facebook, in my postings on Twitter. And we got 1,296 reads in 2 days.
Yeah.
Which meant people are interested in real estate in Campbell River. But it was a very specific market, right?
There's, I think, an interesting dichotomy too about local social media to local people is not really big yet, but
it will be.
Yeah, I guess. But tourists coming to Campbell River or passing through on the way to Telegraph Cove, that's where a lot of the hits are. Is that true?
A lot of them, yeah. We're getting a tremendous amount of traffic out of Vancouver, and we're now attributing that to the hydro project because Lavalin is in Vancouver and they're using us. And we can see that. When I get 80 people out of Vancouver on my site in one day, and that, just for the sake of argument, is 20% of my overall visits, I could guarantee you last year that was 3%. So we're starting to see a real influx of that. And they're looking at specific things. They're looking at schools. They're looking at recreational facilities. They're looking at government. And then they're looking at real estate. So what does that tell you?
So they're going to be in town for 4 or 5 years for a construction project, buy a place near the school.
You bet.
The best school.
Yeah.
Okay, we're just about out of time. Time flies. But I wanted to mention the city website. They won a gold award, AVA Digital Awards, announced May 15th. And the website also has videos on it too. Is that a fluke, or does the city have a good website?
They have a pretty good website, but a lot of that, and it's way better than it was, I guarantee you. But I think a lot of these kinds of awards, you actually have to put your website in to win. And granted, they won. That's great. That's all good for Campbell River. It certainly doesn't hurt us in any way, shape, or form. But the more you actually submit for these different awards, the better off you are. But it looks great for our municipality. There's nothing wrong with it. It's awesome.
Well, I could fill up probably another 20 minutes, but we'll go out with how should someone develop a website?
Oh my God, how much time do we have?
2 minutes.
I could spend a couple of hours on how someone could do that.
Do you hire a consultant, or do you go online, or do you download a freebie?
I would take a look first online and see what's there.
Yeah.
And see where your competition is.
Yeah.
And see what kind of a website they have.
Yeah.
Simplicity is an absolute must.
Yeah.
But it's no good to throw a website on and leave it there. What you have to do is you have to continually upgrade your website. Blogs are the best way to go.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, in addition to your website or as part of your website. That's very important.
Yeah.
What you have to do with a website is morph with the times. You have to be able to move with the platform itself.
Yeah.
And there's so much, like it would really depend on the individual businesses themselves. I see a ton of websites that are not very good.
Yeah.
I also see a ton of them that are very good.
Yeah.
For very specific reasons, and it depends on what your market is and what you're trying to do, and whether you're actually just giving information or you're actually selling a product online.
But keeping the information fresh.
Keeping it fresh is absolutely the most important thing that you can do.
Yeah, well, I'll take the advice for my own website. Okay, well, Catherine, thank you very much. The guest has been
Thanks, John.
Catherine Temple of GoCampbellriver.com, www.GoCampbellRiver. And Talk About, if you'd like to watch this again and take some notes, is also on YouTube at Shaw TV North Island, I think it is. But watch Talk About, tell a friend. Thank you, volunteers. Thank you, Shaw, for putting this on, and we look forward to seeing you again.